The Great Lakes, the world's largest inland waterways. From the mouth of the St. Lawrence River to Duluth, Minnesota, ships are able to travel over 3,000 kilometers into the heart of North America. Over the past 500 years, thousands upon thousands of ships have plied these waters. From the era of wind and sail to today's massive Great Lake carriers, the lakes have always been used as an efficient means of transport. But sadly, the lakes harbor a dark side. Wide, deep, and cold, they forever seek to claim both sailors and ships who dare to venture upon them. Each year, the list of lost ships grows longer and longer, and since the first vessel was lost, we have always been drawn to find their final resting places. The St. Lawrence River has been used for centuries as the highway for ships traveling into the Great Lakes. The city of Brockville is located in the center of the Thousand Islands, and its waters are home to many shipwrecks. One of the most famous shipwrecks in the area is the Robert Gaskin. Most people think that the waters in Canada are filled with icebergs, so you will be surprised to know that the water temperatures here in the summer can climb into the high 70s. So hoods are not needed, and free meal wetsuits are perfect. While not needed for warmth, you should still wear a pair of thin gloves to protect your fingers from the sharp-edged zebra mussels that cover the bottom. Zebra mussels are an invasive species that arrived in North America about 20 years ago and have really changed the underwater landscape. Each little mussel filters about 3 cubic yards of water per day to feed themselves. Now with billions of them in the Great Lakes, the water visibility in some areas can be over 200 feet, which rivals much of the Caribbean. Knowing the history of a shipwreck makes the dive more exciting, so let me tell you the Gaskin's tale, which is unusual, in that she was sunk not once, but 3 times. She was launched as a triple-masted bark in 1863, which is the same year that President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing slaves during the American Civil War. Later in her career, she was converted into a work barge and used for salvage operations. Her first sinking occurred late in September of 1889 while attempting to salvage the William Armstrong, a train ferry that had sunk 2 months earlier. One of the pontoons that was being filled with steam broke loose from the Armstrong and rocketed to the surface, striking the Gaskin in the bow just like a torpedo. The huge hole in her hull sent her to the bottom in just minutes, where she landed right on top of the Armstrong. About 6 weeks later, it was now the Gaskin's turn to be raised, but as she cleared the waves, a coupling detached, and she sunk for the 2nd time. Well, Canadians don't give up that easily, so 12 days later, she was successfully brought to the surface again, but as they started to tow her towards the shore, a chain attached to the keelson tore the stern away, and she went down for the 3rd and final time. Today the wreck is located just 400 feet from the harbor in Brockville and lays sideways to the current, with the bow pointing towards shore. With her deck just 50 feet below the waves, it allows divers lots of bottom time to enjoy the history of this intact wooden ship, which is over 150 years old. The second most famous wreck in the area is the Lally. She is a 2-masted schooner which lays on a slope which ranges from 20 to 70 feet deep. Even though there is a strong current at the site, this is an easy dive to do. The dive boat will drop you off next to Sparrow Island, where you can stop in just a few feet of water to get ready, then pull yourself down her anchor chain, which leads directly to the plaque that Save Ontario Shipwrecks has placed on the wreck. In August of 1877, while carrying a cargo of coal from Black Rock, New York, she was struck by a fierce storm, which shifted her load, causing the ship to capsize and sink. The current then pushed the hull up against the island, where the Lally had rested for almost 1.5 centuries. The wreck lays upside down with the stern pointing into the current. After exploring the impressive rudder and mast, you can work your way deeper down the side of the wreck. Then, when you are finished your dive, just let the current pull you down the side of Sparrow Island, to the calm-sheltered bay at the end, where the dive boat will be waiting to pick you back up. Traveling upstream from Brockville, there are several great shore dives available. This is where I dove my first shipwreck. At 13 years old, I got certified, and over that summer had made 12 dives, but had not yet seen a shipwreck. So late in October, armed with my dad's 20-year-old copy of Save Ontario, I planned my first wreck dive. It would be a shore dive on the wreck of the Conestoga. That Saturday, we got blown off by 100-kilometer-hour winds and whitecaps on the river. I was so disappointed. But the next morning dawned bright and clear, with not a hint of wind, but very cold, just 8 degrees above freezing. With the directions written in Save Ontario, I was able to find the wreck site. It helped that the smokestack was sticking right out of the water. After checking out the plaque placed at the site by SOS, my mom and me geared up and waded into the river. We followed the guideline to the bow and then drifted down the outside of the wreck to the stern, where I got a great photo of my mom by the huge propeller. We then worked our way upstream inside the wreck, exploring all of the artifacts. It was so cool seeing the history before me. The Conestoga caught fire and sank on May 22, 1922. She was a combination passenger and package freighter. Measuring 253 feet long by 36 feet wide and a draft of 16 feet, she was built of wood and steam-powered. She launched on July 6, 1878 in Cleveland, Ohio, and then later in her life was sold to Canadian interests. She was carrying 30,000 bushels of wheat when she went down, much of which was later salvaged. Today, she lies in just 80 feet offshore, just west of Cardinal, Ontario. The maximum depth is 28 feet, and visibility can be excellent. Current is stronger outside the hull, but mild inside as you explore the capstan, windlass, and boilers. Since then, I have dove many more shipwrecks, but the Conestoga will always hold a special place in my memory. With its warm, clear water and numerous shipwrecks to explore, Brockville in the 1000 Islands region has gained critical acclaim as the world's best freshwater scuba diving destination. With the increase in scuba diving tourism, the Thousand Islands chapter of Save Ontario Shipwrecks became concerned about the impact to the area. The organization's goal is to promote the preservation of local shipwrecks and to promote low-impact diving so that all may enjoy them. They make these shipwrecks safely accessible through the placement of Coast Guard-approved mooring buoys. Their volunteers work tirelessly on improving the diving and training facilities in the area, the maintenance of site moorings, and providing education to both the general public and divers on how to protect the wrecks. Their unique solution to the increase of divers was to create an underwater sculpture park. The park would provide new divers a location to practice their skills and master buoyancy before exploring the fragile shipwrecks. The site would also relieve diving traffic on the local wrecks. So in 2014, after a year of planning, construction, and fundraising, the Centene Memorial Park opened. The underwater sculptures were created by local artists Dave Sheridan, Stephen Hatch, and students from the Thousand Islands Secondary School and Brockville Collegiate Institute. They are a memorial to people who have lost their lives in the St. Lawrence River. The City of Brockville and SOS has set up an annual diver permit system. Visiting divers are asked to purchase a token which they attach to their equipment in order to dive the park. The funds raised are used by the city and SOS to maintain and expand the attraction. Each year, additional sculptures have been added, along with diver gear-up benches and underwater training platforms. Currently, there are 31 underwater exhibits to explore, plus native fish like carp, bass, and pike now live among the amazing life-size sculptures and training platforms, providing divers with additional excitement during the dives. My hope is that this presentation has inspired the explorer spirit in each of you and I invite you to come and experience the history that waits beneath the waves. There are many ways that you can do this. First, the Aquatarium at Tall Ship's Landing is both a world-class aquarium and museum with numerous exhibitions and programs available year-round. Second, for those of you wanting to take it to the next level, the area offers excellent snorkeling opportunities. In addition to the wreck of the Conestoga and the sculpture park, you can explore the wrecks of the Rosse and the Weehawk. Plus, historic locks that were used to move ships up and down the river over a century ago. And third, for the ultimate experience, consider becoming a scuba diver. Young or old, man or woman, diving is a safe and easy sport that anyone can learn. Local dive shops can provide the training and equipment so that you too can descend beneath the waves and dive into history.